York Governor Andrew Cuomo has turned in his resignation after a report by the state attorney general found that he had sexually harassed a number of women and retaliated against some who filed complaints. This resulted in President Biden and a number of other politicians calling for him to step down, which he will do as of August 24th. Following this incident, I started to see media outlets, celebrities, and the general public use Cuomo's resignation as a way to justify cancel culture, or more specifically, the Me Too movement, which is a hashtag used to denounce sexual harassment in the wake of the sexual misconduct allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Now, you're probably wondering why any sensible person would have an issue with sexual predators getting what they deserve, and to be clear, I don't. That being said, the problem with the Me Too movement is that it's very similar to cancel culture, a practice that doesn't follow any set guidelines or answer to a specific hierarchy, which is a recipe for disaster. I'm sure you've heard the phrase, "there's too many chefs in the kitchen," meaning there are too many people trying to control or work on something, with the quality of the final product suffering as a result. This is exactly how cancel culture operates. If you have multiple people seeking accountability for the same person, there's nothing in place to ensure that person is receiving the appropriate punishment, which inevitably leads to abuse and oftentimes illegal behavior from the same folks who are seeking justice. Cancel culture simply lacks due process, and it doesn't care about your side of the story. You ever wonder how so many people unknowingly share propaganda or fall for scams? Easy. They're gullible. They either didn't do their research or they put too much faith in who or what they're interacting with. So when an online mob starts to form around an accusation, most people participating in the cancellation never bother to ask the important questions, like, is the information I'm hearing actually true? To take it a step further, phrases like "believe all women" have become synonymous with the Me Too movement, and it should go without saying that this is a very dangerous belief to adopt. Believe all women? No. I believe in evidence and facts. And I know the rebuttal for this will be to say that false accusations are rare, but those statistics only apply for cases that are handled in court. As for how many innocent people have had their lives ruined by cancel culture, that's a different story. You have to understand that whatever you see in the media is just a small fraction of what else is happening in the real world. So when a criminal gets convicted on TV, a lot of people will praise cancel culture for bringing that person to justice. But again, we don't know how many innocent people are falsely accused outside of the courts, so we can't actually determine if cancel culture is a useful tool to bring people to justice. A great way of looking at this would be to imagine that you entered a raffle knowing that you had 1 in 5 chances of winning. Those odds don't seem too bad, and if you win, you get a free prize. But instead of the raffle, let's imagine that you had 1 in 5 chances of successfully bringing a criminal to justice using cancel culture. Sure, you might get one bad guy, but what about the other 4 lives that you ruined due to false allegations? What happens to them? Well, just like the media, cancel culture can give us a false sense of perspective. When the mob goes after someone, sometimes that person will temporarily abandon their online presence. When I was canceled, I did the same thing to gather my thoughts without having to deal with the harassment. However, the cancelers might see this as an admission of guilt, which is clearly not the same thing. So by the time I made my return to the internet, most of my accusers had already moved on to different things. This was the case for Mike Tunnison, a freelancer who contributed to various publications, including the Washington Post. In October of 2017, Mike was one of the roughly 70 men included in a crowdsourced spreadsheet of anonymous, unvetted allegations of sexual misconduct and assault. He actually wrote about this experience on a Medium article, and I want to read you a few parts of it. When the list was created, I'd been freelancing exclusively for 2 years. Of all the media jobs, freelancing may be the least powerful. It's extremely easy and far from uncommon for the editors on whom freelancers depend for their livelihoods to brush them off without explanation. Not one editor asked me about the list allegations. I just stopped getting work. Remember what I said about not having an opportunity to defend yourself? Once the mob starts, it doesn't care about your side of the story. And this is what cancel culture advocates fail to realize when they say cancel culture doesn't exist. For me, I lost sponsorships, I lost industry connections, and I missed out on opportunities all because of the allegations that the mob created. But people don't see that. Instead, they see me sitting at 200,000 subscribers and say, oh, well, she's fine, she recovered. And that doesn't make it okay. If you went into someone's establishment and trashed the place, that would be considered a crime, regardless if the owner had insurance. If somebody robbed you, but you were able to recover that loss through donations or crowdfunding, it still wouldn't change the fact that a crime was committed. So when we see someone who loses something as a result of cancel culture, who's held accountable? Almost immediately after the list's release, a close friend of 10 years cut me off and hasn't spoken to me since. Day after day, I'm tortured by the thought that even more people will learn about the allegations. It's been more than a year since I've dated. Working 3 low-paying jobs means I'm always busy and broke. Plus, any woman who does the usual pre-date research online could stumble upon the list. How could I explain it away? Once something is posted on the internet, it's there forever. And if we consider how common it is for cancel culture to dig up someone's past for something they said or did years ago, we now have what due process would consider a life sentence. So even though someone falsely accused Mike of sexual harassment, the people who search for his name in the future might not find this video or the new information that could clear his name. He goes on to say the following. Moira Dungan, the woman who started the list, wrote in the New York Magazine months after its dissemination that she was naive because she did not understand the forces that would make the document go viral. Dungan is currently being sued by another listed man, Stephen Elliott, for libel and emotional distress. Again, if you're someone that believes in using cancel culture as a tool for accountability, I need you to understand that you could be held accountable if you're wrong about your accusation, or if the mob you created causes more harm than the original issue. And this can all be avoided if we allow serious allegations to be handled through the courts. Finally, he says the following. The top of the spreadsheet admonished readers to take the allegations with a grain of salt because its charges are uninvestigated. But in my experience, more than a few people have equated inclusion on the list, regardless of the alleged offense, as proof that a man is undeserving of ever being hired or heard from. Remember what I said about the dangers that follow believe all women and how easy it is for people to fall for scams? Well, there you go. You have to understand that some people are lazy, emotional, and impatient. And when you mix that with cancel culture, we have to be realistic and understand that most people will just go along with whatever the mob says without ever questioning. This also explains why some folks share propaganda or satire thinking it's legitimate news, all because they didn't bother doing their research or reading past the headline. And listen, this isn't my first rodeo arguing against the Me Too movement, but I'm sure some of you will try to argue that I don't know what it feels like to be assaulted. Trust me, I know what it feels like. But I also understand that there's a correct way to go about things. When I was assaulted, I didn't go to the cops because I felt embarrassed. But I also didn't look for justice on social media either. If being assaulted is a serious issue, then people need to take it seriously and not rely on complete strangers on the internet to handle their business. The habit of writing a blog or composing a tweet to announce that you were sexually harassed by someone has diluted the severity of abuse and has made a mockery out of sexual assault. And as a content creator who makes their money online, I understand the value of social media engagement. Therefore, when someone goes on Twitter to announce that they were sexually assaulted by someone, the first thought in my head is, where's the police report? Now, I don't actually want to see it because it's not my job to hold other people accountable. However, it's a valid question when I see posts like this. If you're accusing someone online of sexual assault, why not upload the police report at the same time? Like I said, I don't believe all women. I believe in facts and evidence. So if they don't have a report filed, then I have to question the legitimacy of the claim, because even if it happened, let's say they actually went to the police, posting about it on social media would do what? They already have the authorities working on the case, so what else are they looking for by stirring the pot on social media? Publicity? Vigilante justice? And assuming something did happen, but the victim chose to go online instead of the police, now I'm questioning how much this person is exaggerating what happened. I kid you not, someone accused one of my friends of sexual harassment after he complimented their photo. And it's these types of cases that create a boy who cried wolf situation. If sexual harassment and abuse is diluted by false or exaggerated claims, then we need to be realistic and consider how much cover cancel culture is giving to actual predators, or how victims might feel less inclined to pursue justice. So to summarize, don't believe all women. Instead, believe in facts and evidence, and be realistic enough to understand that some women lie and not all abusers are male. And finally, if you're someone who's been assaulted, first of all, I'm sorry that happened to you. Second, I want to encourage you to lead by example. Yes, due process isn't perfect, and yes, sometimes the courts do drag their feet, but the alternative cannot be cancel culture. Of course, these are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours. Let me know in the comments, and feel free to suggest a topic for a future video. My name is Gothix, this is Right Now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!